This is the first YouTube, welcome back. This is the first YouTube since the subpar competition performance. Two things we're going to do today. It's going to be a quick one. We're going to recap how my crew went at the Sub Jnr Nationals with Australian Powerlifting Alliance. That's a mouthful. And then I'm going to talk quickly about what I'm doing in training at the moment, some of the things that we're changing, and then what the next goal is. So starting with the crew at the Junior Sub Jnr Nationals, 3 junior guys, 2 in the 105 class, 1 in the 83 class, starting with Adam Hussein. I've been coaching Adam for quite some time now. When we started together, he was squatting, I think, 160, benching like 100 kilos, and deadlifting 200 kilos. And he was final year Sub Junior at the time, I'm pretty sure. This is his final year in the juniors. So this was a really exciting competition for him to go into, and we had goals to be in the mix. We were going in with a plan for somewhere in the 680s, maybe even 690s, depending how the day played out. And unfortunately, it didn't go well from the outset. We didn't have a good squatting day. So to kind of recap the squat, he's always been a little borderline on depth because of his leverages. And as he's kind of grown more muscle mass and gotten stronger, it's actually probably become a little bit worse regarding getting consistent depth. However, he'd come into this prep squatting, having squatted 222.5 for a double, really strong, really good depth, and we were confident we were going to be ready for a competition PR, which at the time was 240. Opener, missed depth. Oh, rubbish for us, you know, in terms of the goals for the day. Not how you want to start. So we were faced with the decision of going up or holding, and I made the decision that we would hold because we don't bomb at all, let alone at a national competition. Comes out, hits his second, gets it, and so we go up 10 kilos. He hits that really nicely, and initially on seeing it, I thought he was going to be good for it, but unfortunately got caught in depth again. So we have to go back to the drawing board on that, and that's a training job, and we'll fix that for the future. However, the rest of the day went as well as it could go. Our priority shifted from being in the mix, which that was impossible now after that squat scenario, to now qualifying for an international meet, because it was a big goal of ours to go to some international meet, be that Worlds if he had done better, be that FISU University World Games because he's in uni, be that Oceanias, Commonwealths. There's a few options at hand. And so we then shifted the focus to achieving 650, which would mean that he would qualify for any competition, obviously depending who they take, because they'll take from the top down. But we shifted that focus. So it turned into, we'd done 215 on the squat, so we needed 142 and 292 on the deadlift, and we achieved both those things. 3 from 3, really, really great day across both. And it kind of sucked in the sense, we were joking about this throughout the day, and Adam was super mature about handling the shifting of goals. He's attempted 300 or more than 300 by a small amount a couple of times and missed. So we've had a couple of times where we've gone for 3 and it wasn't there. Whereas this prep was probably the time where he had it, and if you see the 292, he definitely had a little bit of room there. Whether he had 300, not quite sure, but he definitely had a bit more than what we ended up attempting. And we were joking about like loading it in the warm-up room afterwards and trying to pull it. We didn't in the end, but it's just how it goes sometimes. This was the prep where he probably was able to at least get close or actually hit 3, and it wasn't the right choice for us to go for it because we wanted to shift those goals from the A plan, which was obviously do as well as you can, to the B plan, which was to hit the qualifying total. So in summary, shocker of a squat day, despite a good prep. We came through really well, 6 from 6 on the bench and the deadlift, which means we achieved our sort of B plan goal, which was to get that qualifying total. So now we wait to see if Adam is accepted into an international competition this year, which would be a really, really great opportunity for him. Moving along, 2 105 guys, a little bit younger than Adam. Actually, Jackson is final year of juniors, could be second last year. I'll have to double fact check that. But Benny's 20, so he's got a few years left in the juniors. Let's start with Benny. Benny Dersma has been working with me both in here at Breakthrough, and actually all 3 of them work in here with me at Breakthrough as well as online. Benny had a phenomenal start to the day. He squatted 250, which was a massive PR for him. He benched 150, which was kind of our surprise lift. He's had a lot of trouble with bench press over the last 6 to 12 months progressing that. It's sort of sat around that 140 region. And then literally one random day in here at Breakthrough, he just benched 152 touch and go. It was like 12.5 kilos out. And we were like, what did we do differently? And it was just this moment where we were like, I'm not sure. You know, it was just a breakthrough moment. Not actually intending on the play on words there, but it was a really just a breakthrough moment for him on the bench press. And then he came through and is able to solidify that in competition as well. So 250, 150, amazing start to the day. And kind of in opposite to how Adam's day went, his deadlifts didn't go the way we wanted them to go, and he unfortunately went 1 from 3 on the deadlift, which is a bit of a shocking day. We were both very disappointed in that. The way that played out was his second attempt deadlift moved really well. He locked it out, but he was called for something in the process. Got to admit, at the time I was a little unclear as to what the call was for, but based on the cards, it was probably downwards movement of some kind in the lift. He doesn't move well enough, and we felt like this was not a common thing for him. We went up 10 kilos to try and secure a competition PR, which previously was 280. And so he pulled 285, he got it to lock out. It was the grind of his life. I've never seen a grind like that from him, let alone many people in powerlifting. So a lot of heart there. I was very, very proud of him. But it was the third was pretty clear downwards movement, so he unfortunately didn't get that. And it just kind of put a bit of a dampener in the day for him in terms of collecting that total. So summary for Benny there, did beautifully across his squat and bench press. Deadlifts clearly progressed, just a little bit of a blunder there with the second and the third. But I think we made good choices. I am happy that we went up 10 kilos because it was clearly the right choice from a strength perspective. And we can swallow that as a team, you know, like that's fine. It happens, and I think given the same circumstance in the future, I'd probably make a similar call. So plenty of years left in junior, but also plenty of years left as a powerlifter too to keep progressing. I think he's just doing really, really well. So really good day from Ben. Last, Jack, first nationals. Actually, it was first nationals for Benny as well. Jack came through with strong expectations, and he met those goals head on and really had a perfect day. I think it was all white lights, definitely 9 from 9, but I think he got 27 white lights in the end. And we had prepped him in a very similar way to in the past, but naturally, as lifters do, as they do more and more comps, his execution just got so much cleaner, prep on prep on prep. And this was really like the peak of that, where he came through and he squatted 250, and it was just gorgeous, like kilos in the tank, excellent depth, which has been an issue for us, being consistent with depth from time to time, just from an experience standpoint. So I cleaned that up really, really well. Cleaned up a 160 on bench press, and he had this goal of this subtotal of 400. And then we went over and we pulled 292.5, which was also a PR, and put him over that 700 kilo mark. So had a perfect day, was really happy with the outcome. And his priorities are going to kind of shift a little bit now. He's been managing a lot of university, placements, his physio. And so the fact that he was able to pull that out, that performance was really, really impressive. Next for him, he's going to be also lose a little bit of weight. He feels like his overall kind of health and daily function could be a little bit better. And he's going to play a little bit of football on the side. So we're going to try and balance those goals of football and powerlifting, which I'm really excited for. And I do that for a lot of my clients. You don't have to be just powerlifting to keep on progressing and achieving. There's obviously a balance to be struck, but you definitely can work with two goals like that. So collectively, really, really happy with all three. Obviously, there's some things to work on as I've sort of outlined there. But fantastic weekend. I love coaching. I was really happy with my coaching. I always assess myself after my coaching days. I was really pleased with how I coached the guys. And the event was fantastic. APA doing a really good job so far. We've had 2 national events and they've been excellent, and they've actually gotten a little bit better each time based off the feedback from the community. And I think that it's a very, very exciting time to be an Australian powerlifter right now. So awesome work to all of the sub juniors and juniors. There was some crazy lifting. I was spotting and loading on the Sunday as well, and there was a lot of cool stuff happening. So really excited for the future of powerlifting in Australia. Moving on from that, training since my competition has been honestly really high standard. I came in 2 days after competition and I completed that final week of the block. The way we run blocks is 4 weeks, and the first day of the 4th week is SBD. And so when I come into a competition, that first day of the week 4 is my comp day. And so what Marcelos had me do was just finish the week 4. So I was doing heavies after comp, and I felt sensational, which was both frustrating and reassuring because I categorically did not feel strong on comp day in squat. I didn't have the top end I expected on deadlift, even though I felt okay. And obviously had a very good benching day. If you watched the comp day video, if you haven't, go and check it out. It's a little bit of a longer one, but if you have some time. And from here, it's like, okay, what are we doing now? Marcellus and I have been able to chat about what went well and what didn't go well and why. We think we've got it pinned down to a couple of key factors. One of them, as novel as it sounds, was actually the way I took my pre-workout on the day. I think actually had the opposite effect to what you want pre-workout to have, which is that it made me very groggy. I actually think it hit my blood pressure a little bit. I felt very jelly in the legs, and I've experienced that once before. It's honestly a little bit of a rookie error, but if you do go too hard with your caffeine and other pre-workout ingredients, it can actually make you feel exactly what I described, depending on the person. But I do have like a hella low resting heart rate, and that's something that I just have to be aware of moving forwards. So for me, it actually just means like putting the pre-workout away, not worrying too much about it, just making sure that I'm sleeping well and eating well to make sure my energy's there, and not kind of leaning on pre-workouts too hard just for the time being, because it was really frustrating to have had such a good prep and for something like that to make me feel so terrible during squats, which ultimately led to a subpar outcome. Benching, we're really happy. However, we are tinkering with some things, because even coming into the competition, we were feeling like we could maybe give me more intensity on bench press. So that's one of the key things, is the average starting loads on my bench press primaries and secondaries are a little bit higher, which I might detail a little bit more in future vlogs and stuff, but that's the average of what's happening on bench. We're also experimenting a little bit with grip width, playing around just a touch, and also playing around a little bit with foot positions, because I've had really wide feet at points in my primary powerlifting on bench, and more recently I've gone a lot more narrow. So call this like a bit of an experimentation block for bench press to kind of find what we feel like the exact thing we want to do technically is, matched with that little bit of heightened intensity, which I can not only handle historically, but also I do very well with a bit more heightened intensity on the bench press. On the deads, honestly, not a lot changes. The biggest change right now is I'm actually using a new belt. I'm using a 10mm A7 Pioneer cut, because I thought that it might help me get better position, more consistent position. The reason I thought that was that sometimes when I pull beltless, and I've done a bit of beltless deadlifts in the past, my position is actually quite a lot better and quite a lot easier to get into. Obviously, I'm lacking that brace that you get from a belt, but the position has meant that the strength hasn't been that different. So the happy medium between the two, we think, would be to use a thinner belt, 10mm. So far, it's been feeling pretty sensational. I won't speak too soon, but I'm hoping that this will be something that will continue to help the deadlift move in the right direction. Marcellus's comments were really that he's really happy with where deadlifts are at and where we've been going technically with it, and a lot has been working in training, and really more of the same. The only adjustment we're making there is similar to the bench, just handing a little bit more intensity over to the deadlift by way of reps. So on average, just doing less reps, not doing triples anymore, kind of staying in the 2s and the 1s on the top sets, and that should help me get just more good practice at heavier loads. So that's a recap. Training has been going really good, like I mentioned at the start. Been pushing all my accessories as I really always do, but really getting stuck in. There's definitely been a good flick of the switch mentally that has happened across the last maybe week, and it's been a couple weeks since competition, so I definitely went through this initial kind of lull where it was like, that was shit. But I've come out of that quick smart. Training was good in the meantime anyways, but I'm feeling very mentally switched on to work towards the next goal, which is going to be early September competition at Adonis Campbelltown. Going to be doing that with my good mate Darcy Shevlin, because it's a Power Pals competition, which means you're going in as a team and competing against other teams of 2. So I'm very excited for that. That was a quick one, guys. Really just getting you caught up on things, Sub Junior, Junior, APA Nationals, and how training's been going, and some little changes happening since competition. Soon we'll have some more vlogs coming through of training days, and thanks so much for the support. Subscribe, like, do all of that, and we'll catch up with you soon.